That witchcraft will have you gone out here. Love spells, people doing that. They taking your will and they forcing you to deal with shit that you wouldn't normally deal with. It's a very bad drawback to that. The problem is sometimes the drawback be fatal. Sometimes the drawback don't be to the point where it's like, well, why would it get to that far? But the whole time, this is what people are doing behind the scenes. Manipulating you psychologically, fucking with your soul and shit, playing with the esoteric parts about you. See, when you playing with somebody's soul and willpower, at that point, don't be afraid about the results. Because if you want to take shit that deep, you better be willing to accept shit when it come deep towards you.
Do you believe in black magic? Do you think love spells are real? We're gonna be talking about it in this video. How are you guys? How have you been? Let me hope you're doing great. Thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are really humbling me down. I thank you so much for your support. Look at us, we are growing each and every day. Oh my goodness, you guys are the best. I really thank you. And if you're new, please, you are welcome. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure to like the video and leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. So yes guys, today I never believed in dark magic or love spells, but these people's experiences, these people's stories just proves me wrong. And we're gonna be diving right into these people's stories, and I'll come back with my own opinion about the whole story. Keep watching. Thank you so much for your support. Let's dive right in.
If you don't believe in black magic, curses, or love spells, this true creepy story might change the way you look at any new relationship forever. There's this girl who used to work at a storage facility. The rules were really strict. Only the person's name who was on the lease could access the units. It did not matter if your family, friend, or even staff, if your name was not on the paperwork, you could not get into that unit. There was this one woman, and for years she kept turning up at the storage unit. The girl who worked at this storage unit, when she first saw this woman walk through the doors, she was shocked because of how beautiful she was. This beautiful woman, her name was Holly. She would go and specifically ask for this one unit which was leased under her ex-boyfriend's name. But because Holly's name was not on the paperwork of this specific unit, she would get turned away. What Holly did not know that her ex actually paid 5 years up front of storage, which basically is unheard of. Because of some data law, Holly was not allowed to know any information, how long the storage would be there for, how it was paid, any information. So she just kept coming back in the hopes that one day she'll be allowed to have access to this unit. This girl who worked at the storage unit, she was just dying to know what is in this storage that Holly wants so badly. So the next time Holly walked through that door, she decided to ask her, which Holly revealed to her she met her ex-boyfriend in a cafe she was working at, and he turned out to be a complete psycho. He would come into the cafe every single day, and Holly would just ignore him until one day she looked at him and she just fell deeply in love. All of a sudden, things then started to move very quickly, but Holly's friends and family did not like this guy at all. And one day she woke up and just snapped out of it, and all of a sudden she realized, actually, I don't like this guy. I don't even love this guy anymore. And she tried to tell him, he went mad. Holly then leaves her ex and gets a job, which, by the way, she has not worked for the past 3 years because her ex-boyfriend would not let her get a job because he did not want her to be around any other males. Her new job, when she used to go home for work, she used to feel like somebody is watching her. She just kept having this gut feeling like somebody was following her. So she told a male colleague, and he offered to walk her home one day to make sure that she's safe, but also because he just lives around the corner from her house anyway. During that walk on the way back to Holly's house, somebody jumped out and attacked them so badly, her male colleague's nose was nearly bitten clean off. Holly's always had this gut feeling that it was actually her ex who jumped them. Holly also mentioned to the staff that when she broke up with her ex-boyfriend, he got all her stuff and locked it away in this storage unit. They were not even allowed to tell her how long it was locked away in there for. So she kept coming back for years. Every time Holly then pops in, it looks like she's lost 10 years of her life. She's lost so much weight, she's lost so much hair, she's skinny, she's pale, she's scrawny. But one day she comes in being pushed in a wheelchair by her brother. All the staff are shocked. When they first met Holly, they literally described her as Megan Fox, and now she's crippling away. So the staff just assume she has some sort of terminal illness. So when Holly came in a wheelchair, She never came back. But the staff were like, oh my God, because she only had a couple of months left on this unit until she can go in and get all her stuff. Time runs out and they can finally open the unit, and the staff and the boss are just dying to see what was in this unit this whole time. Voodoo dolls, clumps of Holly's hair, which he probably stole when she was sleeping, spells written out, dried up dead animals, found love spells, spells for mysterious diseases. Everything that had happened to Holly was there. The guy who owns the facility was like, this is weird, we need to get rid of it, we need to chuck it, we need to burn it. So he facilitates that. 2 weeks later, he dies of pneumonia. Maybe Holly didn't just look at this guy one day and madly fall in love with him like she found her soulmate. He did a spell on her, and when that spell ran out and she no longer loved him, and when she snapped out of it, this was her fate.
I don't know what's going on, but today God really wanted me to deal with love spells to help you to understand not only how powerful they are, but how dangerous they are. Today, witchcraft is trending, and a lot of people are practicing it because they lack understanding. This is why God said, above all thy getting, get understanding. We all want something, and all too often we come in contact with people that we are attracted to, but they have this mechanism called will. After all, the soul is comprised of the mind, will, and emotions. But if that person doesn't want us in return, there's literally nothing that we can do legally. Think about it. God doesn't even control us. He gave us will and the freedom to express their will. So anytime you try to rob a person of their ability to make a sober decision, you are practicing the illegal act of witchcraft, and you are employing the use of demonic spirits. Demons and blessings don't go hand in hand. You can't use demons and expect to get a blessing in return. The way these spirits work is they will go to that person. Let's say you're a woman and you put a love spell on a man. This is just for example's sake. The way that those spirits work is they will inundate the man's mind with thoughts of you. They will even give him dreams about you. And then there's that false confirmation. For example, his mother may say, hey, I saw old girl at the supermarket yesterday. She was looking really good. Before long, you will have your man if he is not properly guarded. But here's where things get messy. A lot of people don't realize that witchcraft is very similar to drugs and alcohol. It literally brings people under the influence, but it's gonna wear off. Which is why when people practice it, they have to do another spell behind another spell. And before some witch comes in my comments and start arguing and saying, well, I did witchcraft on a man and a woman and they're still together to this day and they never had to do it again. The reason that they never had to do it again was because he got soul tied to her. And even though he may not want her, he's reasoning within himself that, hey, we got kids now. No sense in leaving. I don't know how desperate you got to be to want somebody that does not want you. But once you have your dude, he's going to start sobering up. Again, he may stick around if you have kids, but he's not going to necessarily want you. And yes, he may cheat on you with the woman that he actually does want. But a lot of times, if you keep practicing witchcraft, he will feel trapped. He may feel like there's no way out. Today, there are too many cases of people killing their lovers. And in some of those cases, many of those cases, I don't think we realize you're dealing with a person who put a spell on another person. Not to blame the victim here, but a lot of people don't understand how spiritual warfare works. Using a demon to bring another person under a spell can cause that person to feel trapped. And people do some desperate things when they feel trapped. I'm saying this to say love spells are dangerous. They're sweet in the beginning, but they're incredibly bitter in the end.
These are the consequences of doing a love spell on a person. I came across the story on here. It was actually in Spanish, so I'm gonna go ahead and translate it to English, and I'll tag the original creator down here. So Gloria has been practicing witchcraft for the past 5 years, so much so that she has become very well known around her neighborhood, and she has a ton of clients. One day she was having a birthday party at her house, so she invited a bunch of her friends and a bunch of her close neighbors. When she sees a girl that she didn't recognize enter her home, she assumed that this was probably one of her friends who had invited another friend. The girl goes up to her, introduces herself as Peggy, and tells Gloria that she needs her help. That she has fallen madly in love with this man that wants absolutely nothing to do with her. Gloria advised her against it and told her about all the consequences that come from love spells, that you can't mess with someone's free will. Peggy said that she didn't care, that whatever the consequences were, that she was willing to deal with it. The next day, Peggy went to Gloria's house and Peggy handed her a jar. In this jar, there was this white powder. Peggy told her to take a very small amount out of the jar and to add it to one of his alcoholic drinks. And to also do it on a Friday, because apparently Fridays are the most strongest days to do this stuff. That Friday, Peggy ended up having a huge party at her house where she invited just about everyone, including the boy and Gloria. As the party was going, everybody was dancing, singing, having a great time. Peggy starts getting a bunch of drinks ready for her friends. Gloria notices that Peggy takes one of the drinks and puts it to the side. She then opens the jar that she had in her pocket and she dumps all of the powder in the drink. Gloria right away runs over to Peggy and tells her, "That is too much. I told you to only give him a small amount. You have no idea the consequences that this is gonna create." Peggy then snaps at Gloria and tells her to mind her business, that this had nothing to do with her, that she already paid her for her work, and that whatever happens now, like, to just back off. Gloria pretty much wiped her hands clean and left it at that. The minute this guy took a sip of the drink, it was almost out of like a movie scene. He became completely head over heels in love with Peggy and could not keep his hands off of her. The whole night they were just making out and like all over each other. A few weeks go by and Peggy gives Gloria a call and tells her, "Hey, what you gave me worked amazing, but I no longer want to be with him. He has become way too obsessive, very toxico, to the point that he's even jealous of my own brothers. I wanted him, but not like this. I no longer want to be with him." Gloria told her there's nothing that she can do about it, that when she tried to interfere, that she had told her to mind her business, so that's exactly what she was gonna do. Weeks go by and Gloria ends up receiving news that literally chilled her to the bone. Apparently, Peggy had broken up with the guy, and when she did so, the guy became so like insane that he drove his bike right off of a bridge, unaliving himself. All because of that spell. A month later, Peggy calls her terrified, crying her heart out, begging Gloria for help. She told her that after the boy had passed away, that she continued to see him in the home, that he wakes her up at night, that she hears his voice, that he still is around at all times, that even after he passed away, he continues to be obsessed over her, even after death.
Let me tell y'all this quick story. I posted it before, but I immediately took it down because I posted it too fast. And I saw a post yesterday that kind of made me remember about the story that I was supposed to tell y'all. So it's this guy that I see every day, right? And he be trying to talk to me sometime, or he just be staring at me with that I'm interested stare, you know, that creepy stare. So, you know, I don't be paying him no mind, right? So like around like 2 weeks or a week before Valentine's Day, he was on me hard. Like he stopped me and was just kind of like literally pouring out to me, telling me how he watches me and how he really likes me and he wants to get to know me and how he loves my hair and, you know, everything that I do and represent and like, you know, my body. Like he just was on it, like pouring it all out. So I'm just looking at him and I'm just like, "Aw, thank you." You know what I'm saying? Like that. And I keep it moving. Now, I've seen him like he's with his stares and everything. I've always felt like this, you know, I'm just thinking this creepy thing with him, but you know, whatever. So Valentine's Day comes and he gives me a rose, right? So I take the rose, you know, and I'm like, "Oh, you know, thank you, whatever." So I noticed I left the rose in my car. And when I went to the car to go to the store, I saw the rose and I was like, I grabbed it, you know, ran in the house, put it in some water and didn't think nothing of it, just kept it moving. Now I deal a lot with plants, you know, I cultivate the earth. My hands are always in dirt. So when it comes to, you know, plants, sometimes I'm just like, you know, gung-ho with it. So I shouldn't have never brought it in the house. Anyway, so the rose is in the house, right? It was a closed rose. So the next day or two, I noticed the rose when I was walking out and it was opened. And I was like, wow, like it's so beautiful. I was like, oh, wow, it opened that fast. I was like, that is so pretty. Kept it moving, didn't think nothing of it. So Saturday, it was like a Saturday morning. I know it was a weekend. Saturday morning, I get up and Spirit was like, go look at the rose, right? So I'm like, I'm getting the intuition and it's like, go look at the rose. So I go to observe the rose and I see this black outline along the rim of the rose. Right? And it was traveling, right? It wasn't moving, but you could see that it spread, right? So it was on the rim of the rose. You couldn't see it from a distance. You had to be up on the rose to see it. So I'm looking and I'm like, what? So I'm already kind of feeling a little kind of weird. And I'm like, yo, I never seen that before. That's weird. Spirit is like, get rid of it. Take the rose out. Don't put it in the house. Take it out and trash it. So I take the rose, you know, and I open the door to go out to throw it in the garbage. And when I get to the garbage, Spirit is like, no, put salt on it. So I rush back in the house, grab the salt, and I'm, you know, putting the salt on the rose, and then I toss it. when I get back into the house, I felt like this relief, like this, it was a sense of relief. And I don't know if it was the energy from the rose or if it was the urgency for me to get rid of the rose, but I felt this sense of relief. Don't y'all know, when I see this guy again, he didn't even want to look at me. I had to be like, hey, and he was like, oh, hey, you know. So now he'll speak, but he will not try to talk to me no more. He does not. It's when I tell you, it's nothing. He don't even look like before he used to try to make eye contact with me all the time and just stare at me, like to make me uncomfortable. And now it's literally as if it's nothing. So it's just so crazy how things can happen. And look, I've been fooled already before, so fool me once, but you won't fool me twice. So that's why building your awareness and consciousness and listen, your lessons will bring you to a point where you start really paying attention to things and you able to hear, you know, and get guided, like your directions. Because, sir, what were you trying to do? Now, what could have happened is, I'm thinking, okay, if I let that rose sit there, and who knows, one day I would have probably woke up and the whole rose would have been black. And I would have just tossed it like it was nothing. And then it could have been something as simple as him catching me, like, and asking me out and me saying, you know what, I'm going to go out on a date with him. It'd be something simple as that. He's so nice. He's so persistent, you know. You know what, let me see what this is, and I'm going to go out on a date with him. That could have happened, and that's all it would have took, you know, because warlocks will play on your empathy, you know, and especially when they get in, all they need is an in. So, you know, those love spells and shit, let me tell y'all. Listen. We're not doing that. Be careful what y'all bring into the house, especially plants. Plants hold spirits. Plants are very good with rituals, with spells. You know, that's what I do. I work with plants. So it's so crazy how I didn't catch that. But we won't catch everything. No matter how, you know, you move in life, we're human. You know what I'm trying to say? And as much as I'm gifted in that area, I didn't pick up on it. But I did pick up on the intuition. I did pick up on the guidance, on where spirit was leading me. And that's what's important. Because I'm not getting got no more.
Here's my story on why I do not play with witchcraft. So when I was about 22, 23 years old, my then best friend at the time, grandmother, used to do work. She wasn't your average grandma, you know, with the moo-moo. No, she was turned. She smoked weed. She drank. She hung out. She could dress. She was that type of grandma. But she did work. She would do things like she would put your name in the freezer when she wanted you to stop doing something. She didn't put it in a bag of water like I be hearing other people say. No, she put your name straight in the freezer, and whatever she focused on that she wanted you to stop doing, you would stop doing. She would also do things like the jar, but she didn't do like honey jars. She would do a simple jar, and she have you write their name down, and you put their name in a jar of water and hide it in the house, and the person would not go nowhere. She did stuff like that. And the crazy thing about it, we saw it work. Me and her granddaughter, my best friend at the time, we saw it work. Whatever she said, it worked. So around that time, you know, we young, we had little boyfriends that was cutting up or whatever. So we called ourselves wanting to get our boyfriends in line. So she told us this simple one, to write their name down. If we don't hear from them and we want to hear from them, write their name down, put it under the pillow, and sleep on it. And you would hear from them. And I promise you, I used to do it. And at the time, I wouldn't hear from my baby daddy for weeks. I would put his name, write his whole name down, sleep on it. The next morning before 9 a.m., he would call me. So all her stuff worked. But this is where it went wrong. It was this one spell that she had me do because at the time, my twin's father was cutting up real bad. I was in love with him, and I wanted him to stay home and stop cheating on me. She told me to write his name down and put it in a jar and put it in some water and hide it in the house, and he wouldn't go nowhere. I'm like, how this gonna work? Because not only was my baby daddy unfaithful, just wilding, he young, we didn't even live together. But I was in love, and my baby daddy was cheating, and I wanted him to be with me. So I did what she told me to do. I wrote his name down, his whole name, put it in a jar of water, hid it in the house. Y'all, like a month and a half later, guess what happened? He gets arrested. They lock him up. He don't get no bond. It's a serious charge. And When they finally give him a bond, they let him go under the conditions of him being on house arrest. Y'all, the spell said he would never leave the house. The man was on house arrest, and he got released to my house, my address. So y'all, once he gets released to my address, we have the best relationship ever. We getting along, we in love. He's never been this nice to me. I'm so freaking happy. Till one day, y'all, I'm out shopping with my sister, and he at the house. Remember, he on house arrest. I get back from shopping with my sister, y'all. Why the jar sitting on my coffee table? And he just sitting there. Y'all, he found the jar. He said real calm, yo, what my name doing in that jar? I was like, I ain't know what to say. I was like, I don't know. He was like, hey, yo, get my name out that jar. I was like, throw it away. He said, I'm not touching that jar. Get my name out that jar. Instantly, the spell broke. Instantly. My world got turned upside down. Do y'all hear me? As soon as the spell broke, somehow the conditions of his bond got to the point where he could leave and go certain places, and then he eventually got off house arrest. He left my house. He started back cheating double time to the part where he just moved and just wasn't, like, it was almost like he hated me. Y'all, that spell backfired so bad. I remember one night I went looking for him, and I hate to admit this, but I went looking for this man. And I remember I didn't have on no shoes, and it was in the middle of November. I went looking for him with no shoes on in the middle of November. I don't even know why I didn't have on no shoes. Y'all better stop playing with people's free will. To this day, me and that man don't get along. Like, it's a whole bunch of stuff that happened after that. I could talk for hours. But to this day, me and that man do not get along. Stop playing with people's free will. If they want to be with you, they're going to be with you. Because when it comes back times 3. When I tell y'all I lost everything, I lost financially, I lost mentally. I started smoking weed around that time. I wasn't even a weed smoker. I lost. And I'm still not with a nigga. Stop playing around with that stuff. You cannot force nobody to be with you.
So guys, before we watch this last story, I want to say, you guys, these stories shocked me. I grew up in a Christian family back in Africa, and you never heard of, like, even to talk about dark magic, everyone would turn around and think you are an unbeliever, because all they said was all those things are powerless, they can't do, it's not real, it's just an illusion. People used to try to go to witch doctors and dark magicians to boost their businesses or for love and stuff like that, and they always backfire, like they never worked. So a narrative was pushed that these things are not real, they're not powerful, but all I know is the Bible says that he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. I believe Satan is real. Those dark magic powers are real. After listening to these stories before, I was like, no, as long as you pray, you kneel and pray to God, nothing can come against you. You can, which is true, which I believe. But looking and hearing these people's stories I'm blown away. I'm like, wow, these things are real. People take it for granted. If they find a weak soul, they will work on that person. So guys, guard yourselves at all costs. Soak yourselves in prayer and in the blood of Christ, and keep yourselves. Let God protect you, because these things are real. And I've had I think it was last month on the news, a man had unalived his wife because he was tired of her love spells. I was like, what? And I've realized the more I grow up, the more God blesses me with life, the more I break so many narratives that I grew up, with. I grew up hearing, I never believed in love spells. But these stories, have opened my eyes. I need to protect myself. I need to, because wow, someone messing with your free will is crazy. They can make you do almost anything. It's crazy. I want to know what you guys think about these stories, because am I the only one who is just finding out that these things are actually real? Let me know your experiences. I want to know your opinions about this whole thing. Thank you so much for watching, and let's dive right back into this video.
Y'all better be careful who y'all lay next to, because your life may just depend on it. Story time. Fortunately, this is not my story. This is my friend's story. And for the sake of this story, we're just going to call my friend Amanda. So me and Amanda met in real estate school. We were only there about 2 months, and we developed like a real friendship. While being in real estate school, we go out, get food together, me, her, and 2 other girls. This particular day, we decide to go to this little pizza joint. Really, only Amanda wants food from this place, so we get her food. She comes out saying that she met this really cute guy, and it just so happened as we're getting ready to leave, he's walking out. So it was like love at first sight. We all are in the car kind of like, oh my God, you know, he even stepped with all of us in the car, so you knew he meant business. You know, telling her how beautiful she is and how he wants to take her out, you know, shooting his shot, coming correct. So, of course, they exchanged numbers, and the rest is history. For the sake of this story, we're going to call old dude Greg. So, Greg is like a Spanish guy, probably about 6 feet tall, but he works and moves around a lot. The reason he was out here is because he has a son out here. So, occasionally he comes back and forth from Louisiana to Georgia when he's not traveling for work. Y'all, things just start moving really fast with Greg and Amanda. Amanda had just got out of a relationship, and here we are thinking that, you know, God has sent her her knight in shining armor. Now, Greg is going all out for Amanda. I mean, taking her, basically flying her out to Louisiana, getting her all type of gifts, you know, spoiling her, treating her how a woman is supposed to be treated. Now, because of Greg's job, he always would get a room whenever Amanda would come to Louisiana to see him. I'm like the investigator friend. So any news that I'm told, I'm always gonna kind of do my research. I'm also the friend that you come to when you feel like you're tripping, and I give you confirmation that you're not. And I read cards, so let's just say I'm very intuitive. So me being me, Amanda is telling me everything that's going on. And of course, I'm rooting her on, because what she came from versus the man that stepped in, it's like, okay, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and he doing a damn thing. But some of his stories and the things that she's telling me is not really making sense. So you make a lot of money, but yet y'all are starting to get serious. Fast forward to 6 months down the line, and he's still only getting rooms when you come and see him. That kind of raises a little red flag for me, because it's like, do you have a house? Now, both Greg and Amanda are kind of in their 40s. So Amanda's naturally just going based off what he's telling her. One night, it was late at night, and he had to get up and go to work probably 2 or 3 hours. Amanda gets up, goes to the bathroom, but she feels like she's being watched. Now, if you from New Orleans, you from Louisiana, you already know kind of what get down out there. And her senses started kind of telling her like she's not alone. She feels like every move she makes is being calculated or accounted for. It's to the point where now she's spooked. She's paranoid. She can't sleep. All of a sudden, she starts to see shadows like dancing on the wall. And she knows at this point, she's not getting back up out the bed.